Not fit all. That's the message of this year's Eating Disorder Awareness Week. An estimated 1 million Canadians have an eating disorder, and it's an issue that doesn't discriminate against gender, age, race, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic backgrounds. Sheena's Place in Toronto offers support for people with eating disorders. And joining me now is their program manager, Drouillard and Sara Robb, who is the manager of Outreach, Special Projects, and Research. Thanks to both of you for being here.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So we know what the message, we know what the theme is. What's the message behind this theme?
Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so this year the message behind the theme, you kind of spoke to it in the introduction, one size does not fit all. And we really want to highlight the diverse nature of these mental illnesses. Like you said, they can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, race, size. I think a lot of times people picture a particular person or body size when they think of eating disorders, and we really want to encourage people to move away from that inaccurate stereotype.
You know, we just got off of a very successful Bell Let's Talk Day, where sort of the mission behind it is really to get people talking. I have to assume that there's a similar conversation that needs to happen as it relates specifically to eating disorders.
Yeah, we're really trying to build off of the Bell Let's Talk Day because it is such a great initiative to get people talking about mental health, mental illness, like break that stigma. And I think within the realm of mental illness, there's still a lot of stigma that surrounds eating disorders. So as you said, it's close to 1 million Canadians who are diagnosed. It is the mental illness that has the highest mortality rate. So it's really important that we're talking about it. It continues to be misunderstood, underfunded, under-researched, underserved.
What I find really interesting is one size does not fit all relates to those who suffer with an eating disorder, but it also relates to care. There's not one type of treatment.
Yeah, absolutely. So different people have different needs, right? And I think that ties back into the theme. And we learn that all the time from our Sheena's Place members, that each of them really got something different out of different types of treatment. There were aspects that were helpful for some, unhelpful for others. So really, we need treatment that tailors to individuals. People are complex, they have complex lives, and they need treatment plans that reflect that.
Sheena's Place is such a great resource for those who live in the Greater Toronto Area, but what advice do you have for those who are suffering and they can't come to Sheena's Place in other parts of the country, maybe in rural or remote areas?
So Sheena's Place is a really great resource, downtown Toronto. For those, we see people from all across the Greater Toronto Area. For those in other provinces and across the country, there's a really great service called the National Eating Disorder Information Centre, or NEDIC, and they're a nationwide service that provides referrals and resources. They have a service provider directory, so if anyone wants to look for any eating disorder services in their province specifically, they can go on the NEDIC website and look up professionals that are trained in eating disorders.
Where should the conversation start? What's the most effective way to get people talking?
That's a great question. I think initiatives like Eating Disorder Awareness Week and Bell Let's Talk is a great way to just, without judgment, without stigma, just start talking about these things. Start talking about how, as a culture, we look at things like weight and health, like the sizism that exists and the kind of pressures that can place on people, and creating safe spaces like Sheena's Place, like this conversation, for people to share that this is something I struggle with as well, and like, where could I get support?
You know, when we were going through Bell Let's Talk Day, one of the questions that I had for those who were involved with it was, have you seen, has the conversation improved? Have people become more aware over the 8 years of Bell Let's Talk? Have you found that in your work with Sheena's Place, have you found that people are more receptive to the conversation? Are they more aware? Has there been progress in getting us towards a place where this is a more understood illness?
I think definitely we've seen changes in our time in the field, and I think a lot of that has to do with campaigns and awareness initiatives. So we've seen the conversation start to be more well received. People now understand when we say eating disorders, you know, oh, I know what some of those are, or I've heard of something like that. So even just those steps have definitely started to happen, but we still have quite a long way to go in terms of people understanding them better.
Well, thank you for all the work that you do. And we should remind people that Eating Disorder Awareness Week is this week.
Yes, so it's February 1st to 7th, so it started yesterday and it goes till next Wednesday. There's a lot of great events and activities going on in the city, so check it out.
Well, thank you to you. Thank you to everybody at Sheena's Place. We appreciate it.
Thank you
Thanks
so much for
having
having us.